This time we'll go ahead and call the May 7th, 2025 Finance Committee meeting to order. First order of business is we need to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McClendon. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our second item is the approval of the minutes from April 21st, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McClendon. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 4, new business, 2025-2026 General Fund Budget Overview, second draft. Ms. Stanley, take it away.
Thank you. Okay, I went ahead and implemented in this draft the COLA increase of 7% for 40 and under, and then 4% for $40,001 and above. So that's the COLA increase I have. If you look on page 1, you will see that I've added that onto the scenarios. So I guess we need at this time decide if y'all want to entertain and go ahead and go with that one, or if you would like to, originally I had 5% across the board in.
I mean, I like, I like this. I think it's a respectable increase on the higher paid, folks. And it's, also it gives some of the lowest paid people the opportunity to get them up a little bit. I mean, I think it's a fair.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's not, but you're talking just like $15,000 difference.
That's what we agreed on in our meeting, so that's good.
I like that. Now, do we need to do anything with this, or we'll just wait?
At the end, we'll just take and, vote on it all at the end.
Okay?
Everybody in agreement with that scenario?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the next item with the solid waste, because I think that's one of the biggest decisions that we need to make. If you look on page 50, let's see, 49 and 48, I've got two scenarios. The first one on page 50 is pretty much using half of what NETC we would send, that would generate to give to them the millage, which would make for the unincorporated $38 and the in-town $13. And like I said, that's pretty much transferring from the general fund half of what would have been sent to NETC, in which that would not be sent to NETC. We would just send them only half, or roughly around $170,000. Then the other one would be less of a burden on the taxpayers. It's pretty much taking everything that would have been transferred to NETC, incorporating, making $30 for the unincorporated and $10 for the towns.
I have just one question. Can you explain about the NETC? Because I may be a little.
Yes, we have like 2.38 mils of funding that we give NETC. That's in the county millage.
Okay.
So it was proposed to do away with that.
Right.
And
Not
use
give NETC anymore?
That's right,
Okay.
yes. So what I'm proposing to you now is, would you like to give half of that to NETC, or would you like to just go ahead and not give anything to help fund, this transfer? It would be less of a burden on the taxpayers.
I mean, my personal opinion is that, with some of the stuff they've got going on, that we just take it all away. And if they have an issue that comes up that workforce development or whatever would need some help with later on, they could bring it individually back to us if we thought we needed to help it, is my opinion on the NETC stuff.
The reason of that, we looked at the grant money that they get in, and they're very well funded.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Those grants can only be used for those certain projects, though. So we want to make sure that, and I understand. I have a lot of concerns, too.
What are the concerns? I may be in the law, I may be in the
Well,
dark here.
I mean, I'm not on the committee, but I'm
For
happy
sure.
to share, and I'll share the articles that have been shared with me, but essentially, the Inspector General went in and gave some opinions and findings of things that weren't done correctly through NETC, and salary increases that were based on some numbers that I'm not sure that they're entirely correct, and some folks who have been charged for classes that they didn't take, and some enrollment that wasn't actually the way it was looking to be on the books. So when you see things like that, you worry, where's our taxpayer money going? You know, what is it being used for? And, however, I don't want to not be a partner if it hurts economic development, or I don't want other existing industry looking at us saying, well, we're putting in all of this investment, where's your investment, or where's your, so, I mean, this is just Mary personally, this isn't, I haven't talked to anybody at NETC. Todd and I talked about talking to leadership there, but, so, I mean, that's just my thought. If you take it all away, are we hurting them in some capacity that could hurt us later on? Is there gonna be a trickle down? But I do think that there needs to be a pinch, and I think we need to say, hey, we're not okay with what we're reading and what we're seeing. And those are Inspector General findings. Those are not, you know, internal audits or their, you know, what they bring to us. Those are Inspector General findings, and they came from investigations that were started because someone raised a red flag.
Go ahead.
I just want to know what are we contributing to the NETC?
What does that 400,000 or
Yes,
380 or whatever?
it's 375,000 roughly.
375, so what does that do for them?
Right.
That is a good question. I think it goes to their general fund, doesn't it?
Yeah, from my understanding, it goes to their operations,
Yeah, their operation.
for their buildings, you know, to operate, upkeep.
I don't know, I think that if it's something that they need help with that's gonna be for existing industry or whatever, I feel better if they have to bring projects individually to us, where we can make decisions instead of just giving them a blank check for, you know, charging it. We're charging the taxpayers, we're forcing the taxpayers to pay fees that there's no accountability for, and they can do whatever they want to at NETC, just as a kind gesture. There's no laws that says we have to collect this for them. There's really no reason to collect it for them.
And we've invested with them in other ways, like the Scheffler building, and we've given them some money, not a lot of money, but it is helpful. I think it was 200. Was it 200?
It's 200 or 300, yeah.
I met 3 hours with Andy Ingram at NETC and talked to Dr. Wagner on the same day. And the only thing they said, and I asked them, said, what can we do as a county council for you all in the future and the present? So the only thing they were asking for us to, when the time come, the time is now, in Paisley, the new development they got going, they want us to help pave that road up there, but he said, but that's not at this present time, they'll get back with us when that time comes. Those are his exact words. But he said, he went down the, as you said, Ms. Mary, the grant funding they get, he said they are heavily well off at this time with all the support they get from DC. But Dr. Wagner, he's excellent at going to Washington and getting revenue. I got to give him his prop for that, he do that well. With that being said, your point is valid, Madam Chair. If we don't do anything, how's that gonna look with us? It's being our college in the community, in the county, and we're not contributing. So either we gonna contribute something or nothing.
Well, you may have a valid point that then specifically come to us and say, we're building this career center, we're doing this, and how can we just have to make sure that we would have those funds available to support. If we're taking it all away,
Right.
and then they ask us, and we're saying to them, but ask us if you have something important that we can help you with, we have to make sure that we're not just saying, ask us, and then, I'm not saying we give them everything, but I'm just saying, we have to make sure that we have a give back if we're saying that, if we're taking it all away.
So we're charging our citizens taxes or collecting taxes or a fee,
13
and then we're giving it to NETC.
Well, not a fee, it's millage, but yes.
Part of the tax
Yeah,
bill.
it's part of their
Paid into
tax.
Taxes, and that goes directly to, is collected as a.
But there's zero oversight from the council, is what you're telling me. There's no oversight from anybody.
Well, that's what Representative Yao was saying. They're supposed to give us accountability back to us. They're
But we
supposed to
don't
tell
have
us
that.
how they're spending the money. I think they
The only
have
accountability we receive is what
recently,
we
but I
get from
think
them.
we've had to ask for that, right, Michelle? Michelle. Yeah.
Anytime you get a,
There has been accountability. I mean, our citizens, we can't, I mean, they are supposed to keep up with how they're spending our money and report that back to us, just like all these other entities that we're asking how are our taxpayer money being spent for. And they have it, but
The problem with that is they can give us and say, we use y'all's money to pay X, but that freed up money to give them a 25 or 30% pay increase at one time, by doing it that way. And I don't think that that's private information, I think that that's fact,
it is.
that it happened.
That was just a comment. I'm not.
Let them request what they want.
I agree that I agree that we should not give them anything and use that extra funds for our citizens. And if they need something, they can come ask. And of course, I do feel like there would be something to help. We can give everything they ask for.
I like that.
Well, what we're looking at is the solid waste, trying to set those fees. Now, would it be okay with y'all if you see the two numbers, all of it would be 30 and 10, half of it would be 38 and 13? Would it be okay with y'all to do the 38, 13? We're still holding on to half for negotiations if they want to come back to us or whatever down the road, once they figure out which direction they're going in. But to set the fee so we can move on with the solid waste, because I feel like 38 and 13 is still a good number for the fee for the solid
So what
uh,
I'm
waste.
hearing is you still gonna collect the NETC half.
Right, we've been instructed to take that away. That's been taken away. We're gonna apply half of that to the solid waste to bring that number down, in which we had. Now, here's your two numbers. Half is 38 and 13. All of it is 30 and 10 if you apply it all. Now, I'm just saying, y'all wanna look at doing half of it, hold on to the money for negotiations for down the road.
Projects they bring to the table.
If, you know, whatever.
I guess what I'm asking is so if we do that,
They're not getting anything.
they're not getting.
They're not getting anything until somebody comes to the
But on your
table.
taxes, is it still gonna show NETC?
No.
No, I can't do that. It would have to be in the operations.
Okay.
I'd have
I mean,
to put that millage in the operations.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that, I think that it would be smart for us, because we don't know what the tipping fees are gonna go increased.
That's what I was gonna say. Ms. Burns had a really good point, because if our intake is gonna be so much more, and tipping fees and all of that, we may need to do something else in regard to that solid waste. So that's, I thought your point earlier, Ms. Burns, was very valid with that. So that just gives us a little more flexibility on how we're gonna spend that money.
Basically, to expand it is what we're talking
Right,
about.
if we need
Because we're
to.
taking so much trash on, we may need to invest that money.
Right.
I think that's smart too.
And then NETC, if they do have certain projects or proposals or whatever, then, you
They
know,
come to
we
y'all.
can come to us.
once we take that money away from NETC, I had a couple of people in my district too, was concerned about paying that taxes on that, NETC. So is something gonna be sent out to all the residents, letting them know what we done with that money? It's gonna be,
They'll no longer see that fee come on their tax notice.
Hopefully,
It'll go away.
it'll go away. That's what I was saying, okay.
hopefully the newspaper will, explain the ins and the outs of what we're trying to do as well, to let the people know, and hopefully we can redirect them to
Right.
this
I had one to
conversation.
tell me, look, I don't have any children go to that school. Why is I'm paying?
There's still a benefit from, I mean, it's same with education, there's still a benefit to, you know,
I had probably that same person that called me, but here's with that person, they gonna not see that 36 cent, and they gonna see that $30 now. So
That was my, that was mine.
you're gonna have to educate them again.
So they gonna see, you know, the
Trash.
right.
If I understand this correctly, we were talking about taking 100% of it, leaving it at the 38 and the 13, and utilizing utilizing the other half to wage against the increased cost for us, tipping fees, expansion, whatever.
Makes sense.
Just give us an
That protects
extra
us and the taxpayer.
buffer for extra trash
I think
fees.
you're exactly right.
Yep.
It's gonna be an increase probably 30-40% if I had to guess.
No exclusion for anyone in the county, it's for all residents in the county, right?
Yeah.
All homeowners, right?
All homes, yeah.
Well, here's another thought too. And I think it's a wonderful idea because again, we're not collecting monies at the landfills, but how do we keep people from out of the county from utilizing?
That's gonna be a double-edged sword, that how do we keep those same people from dumping it on the dirt road just like everybody else? I think that's just something we're gonna have to eat.
I'll tell you how Kershaw County does it. I know, because I have a property there. They make you show your license.
That's what Marlboro County do the same
Yeah,
thing.
you gotta show them your license.
too.
Resident, you have to show it.
And I had to explain, like, if you have a property there, you know, they still let me dump for free because I'm paying taxes there, but you still gotta show your license when you dump.
Of
They
residents.
used to give you a little K sticker that you put in on the
Yeah,
windshield.
I got one question though. What about people that own property but don't own a home? Are you still gonna bill those folks on tax bills?
No, well, I don't know, but we've talked about this with other counties too, and they did the same thing. They had a little sticker in the window because they said, you know, we live in, our business is on one side and we live on the other side, but we pay taxes on both sides. And anyway, there are some things that you have to consider, some tweaking with that, but what was the question?
I just wanna clarify, because we got into this thing with these fire fees, where people were talking about they own land, and so they didn't think they needed to pay a fire fee. And I could see this coming a mile away, if you're gonna charge people that just own raw dirt, these waste fees.
I think we're just
It's
talking
not
about
partial.
improved. We're
Okay.
talking about improved.
I just wanna make sure it's per house, because that's gonna cause a problem if it's not.
Improved properties.
And just so on, we know
Only
it's
home.
for home, not commercial,
Okay, but homes,
home,
not raw land.
not raw land.
Just,
Right, Michelle?
Even if you have like a commercial, it would be on that commercial house.
Yeah.
Your home, it would be on that, your mobile home.
if ain't nothing on the land, there's no.
That's right.
Because I can tell you.
But,
It's per-
but
it's-
take your business, for example. I mean, you know, I mean, you got to provide your own service to get rid of your trash.
Yeah,
That's what I'm,
Just talking about residential.
It's on
just on
owner
your risk.
occupied.
It's gonna be really, I understand the thought process, but it's gonna be really difficult to enforce who brings what trash. We live on the county, on the state line. If you have renters, that are here, you know, I mean, in law enforcement, you pull people over that has got a North Carolina license that you know has been living here for 2 years. You know, there's gonna be those issues that's gonna be hard to overcome.
Yep.
You know, and if you give something to the homeowner, then the homeowner is renting that piece of property and the renter moves, where does their sticker go? You know what I mean? There's just gonna be so many, I think there's gonna be I think there's gonna be people taking advantage of us, but also them same people with them out-of-state driver's license, they gonna throw it on the dirt road if we don't take it.
Yep.
Unless you have the,
But once you
Landlord
move, how many
buys
days do you have before your driver's license is supposed to match your residence? So you're in violation already, right?
Most people
I
don't.
mean, North
Still need
Carolina,
driver's license, but the best we can do. They can't provide you a driver's license, they're already violating something.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be a certain amount that we're just gonna, I mean, how hard do you wanna fight that battle? Do you wanna take it, or do you wanna go clean it up down the road? Because that's exactly what will happen.
Have to work with it.
All right, so it sounds like to me we were all in agreement of
3813.
3813 and use the half to kind of give us some cushion in case we have increased expenses.
everybody are in agreement not to fund in ETC.
Okay.
Till they come before us to present what their
Right.
needs are.
That's what we said.
So 3813 would be half, so 3010 would
Would
be.
be all of it.
All of it.
Yes, ma'am.
We're still gonna take all of it, they were gonna just give us a cushion to do, in case what you said earlier was a problem, which was the increased cost.
And
of the county.
the other thing I just thought about, So when we say municipalities, I think it's gonna have to be municipalities that people are already paying for their trash service, because you're gonna have municipalities like Ruby and place Mount Croggan.
That's
that
right.
They don't provide those
Yeah, we
services, so
fig-
they're gonna have to
Yeah,
get
we've-
treated as
Yes.
county.
Right, we figured that.
That's where we got to communicate that very well to the auditor's office and
Okay.
And when will this take place, in the next?
It'll start,
Yep.
yeah, in July 1 for the next upcoming budget.
Good question.
But that's a good point. I hadn't thought about those small towns, Mount Croggan and places like that.
Okay, the next thing, Tim and I spoke with the sheriff in regards to the security officer at this building, and he was very appreciative. He thought that was a good idea, and he was in agreement that he would take one of his currently staffed security officers and place him at this building. But now, he did make a good suggestion to make it a Class 1 officer versus a Class 3. But with doing that, then the council would need to kick in like $5,208 for the difference in the pay, because what he's got budgeted is a Class 3. So he was asking the county in return for us to fund that amount to make it a Class 1 officer. And the logic of that and the reason of that is because a Class 3 has to be supervised by a Class 1. So if, like, just right now, if Tim Perry was on vacation, then, you have to concentrate on both of them. Spence could explain it even better to us.
That makes sense.
Make
Yeah.
really sense.
One has to be supervised.
Class 3 has to be super.
Yeah.
Three has to
Yes, ma'am.
Can't supervise it, no. Got to have a class 1 officer there. Can't.
You gotta have radio communication, direct supervision, so if Class 3's over here and he's over there, you're still covered because you're in radio communication, but if he's gone,
He's
you
not
gotta
covered
get
under, as long
somebody
as
else
he's
over
under
here
radio communication.
to help facilitate supervising the Class 3. They can't do it, they have limited duties, they can't do so much, they don't have the full responsibility with Class 1 as far as being able to intervene on certain things.
That's 100% true.
So if we had a Class 1 here, and you have one over there, we have two, now they've got backup, right? So if he's gone, we're still good for both buildings.
Still good regardless, we would always have to do one work.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to, the sheriff spoke to Tim about it, Monday, Tim's trying to get something facilitated now. We got 4 there currently, we have 5 slots, we have to have a person. We're trying to get them maybe on a rotation right now, so we can get somebody hired, and then make a permanent fix. But right now, he can do it if they don't have court going on. They got general sessions, they're not gonna have that extra person to put over here, they have to put them different places in the courtroom. But, unfortunately, we should be able to have somebody in here, he's already working on that, and he has reached out to some Class 1 officers already to get some interest to see if it's, we can get them on board if it's approved and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I just don't wanna fund it and then we get a Class 1 for 2 months and then we end up getting a Class 3 anyway forever.
No, it's probably gonna be an older person, the ones that we've reached out to, they've actually reached out to us when they heard about it. But it's not gonna be, it might be something we use that person on Saturday for the Hazeland parade or something, but his main focus would be here.
Now, that older deputy, he's gonna be willing to go back to the academy to get a Class 1 officer, be a Class 1 officer?
He'll already have that.
He would already have it, and they hadn't retired yet, they're still.
But he's a Class 3 now.
No,
He's
they're
Class
Class
1.
1s and we have.
Oh, okay, if he's a Class 1, okay.
Even though he's older, he'll still be
Yeah.
physically able to handle his business.
Yeah.
Or her business.
He'll go hands-on to protect you.
Right.
Yeah, as long as he's a Class 1, he definitely need a Class 1 officer, I'm gonna tell you that now. Cause, putting that uniform on and driving a police car, they don't, without a gun.
You missed that, don't you?
No, I don't miss it at all.
Okay,
All right, so we're in agreement to get the class one that we'll all.
Yep.
yes, sir.
Okay, we also spoke to the treasurer about our concern with the audit and, you know, a concern with the segregation being done in a timely manner. You know, I said, if we agree to give you this extra $2,560, are you gonna, you know, assure us that what's happened in the past is not gonna happen anymore? And he assured Tim and I that, you know, he thought that he had everything in order, everything corrected and moving forward, and they do, they're using that new software now. So they should, that we shouldn't see that happen anymore.
Okay.
And we also spoke with Chad in regards to that the assistant TAC officer and a dispatcher. And he said that, like, if the town, if they didn't have the staff, they transfer their calls and all, they transfer everything over to our E911, and the towns do not have a NCIC person on duty. So E911 handles all that. So he said it would be very beneficial to have the assistant TAC and that additional dispatch.
And y'all, if you remember, y'all asked us to look at maybe charging the towns, and in the process, Mr. Ruffner figured out, you know, with the phone fee and all that we already collecting, we can't do that, correct? That's correct.
Is that a legal situation?
Right. In other words, the mechanism for funding that, and that's through state statute, is a fee that's added on to every phone bill in the county, including phones in municipalities.
Is that cell phones or landlines?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Now, does the state set that? I mean, and it.
Yes,
We
yes.
started at a higher level, a higher rate,
Yeah.
and then that was so long, and then it was reduced down.
Correct.
And it's
Yeah.
been at that for years now.
And that's what it has to stay at.
They would have to, would they be allowed to, can they increase it?
I don't think so. I think that's
It's
per
set.
state statute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you take their calls, and you do the work, and you need more people, and they don't pay any money.
Pretty much.
Well, they're paying the money through
Yep.
Through
the
that,
phone
through the
bills.
phone thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's set up by state law.
I guess the problem is the phone companies in the state don't realize that MACB exists on the radio.
Exactly.
Is there any way to go to the towns and ask?
Sure, I mean,
Could you
yep.
go to them and ask?
Sure.
I mean, maybe they may be good stewards,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, that was one of the things in those attorney general's opinions, that there can be an agreement to do that. If a municipality and county agree, that's
I mean,
fine.
I don't personally have a problem going to MACB and asking. If the council gives me permission, I would just like for everybody else to go to their area and ask for the same thing.
What was the question you asked?
What would be the question? To be good stewards and to let them know of the burden, or, I mean, I don't want to call it a burden, but
It is
the
burden.
traffic that they're putting on 911 could obviously interfere with the heart patient or emergency or something like that. I mean, now, granted, they're stopping a lot of cars. I would invite everybody to come down there and watch the traffic come through MACB. Every town in this county is bypassed but MACB.
Police department,
Yeah, but Pageland gets that
they
same
get a lot
traffic.
of
man.
calls.
They don't get
They
903.
stop a lot of calls.
903
They
is
getting
full.
paid down there pretty good.
I mean, but Pageland is bypassed.
I suspect that the Pageland gets just as much as on traffic.
But it's bypassed.
Where's the city limit sign?
Town still worse.
Is that not on the east side of
I
the
think they get rid
intersection?
of MACB though. MACB killed them down there, man. Traffic,
Ultimate traffic count.
traffic, oh God, yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem going to the town, and, you know, asking.
I don't think it was an issue, for us to be able to handle the radio traffic until Mac be changed over from the sheriff's office to the town police.
That's right.
And with the, I'm not saying that they're stopping cars that's not speeding, because I'm sure they are. I think that's a revolving door. But because of their level of enforcement, it's causing a burden on our system. And so, you know, I think it would be nice to have a conversation with them to say, hey, this is why it is being burdensome, and what can you help us with to try to accommodate? I'm not trying to get them to stop stopping cars. I hate for them generating revenue from tickets, for the reasons that they are, to cost all the taxpayers more money because of what they're doing. And I think that's what we're up against.
And let them do their part.
I mean, I'd be glad to, and anybody else that would like to sit down with me, with them.
They're not gonna stopping traffic, especially in that school area down there. They burn them up in that school area. I mean, speed limit, 30 mile an hour there in the school zone? 25, and man, you driving 25, 30, 40, they get them every day. You just sit out there and just count the cars.
But they're not doing it illegal, they're not harassing nobody, right? So you don't want people to be harassed now for the wrong reason. Is that what we're saying, Dr. Brain?
I don't think there's a
Well,
shortage
I
of
don't think
speeders.
that they're harassing anyone, I think they're speeding.
Okay.
I mean, just the geographics of Mac being spent,
They
they
stop.
can help with that. I mean,
30, 40 cars a day.
that's just a,
Long as
I mean, you got a school zone,
It's no secret that
More citizens.
there's a
running
sign.
traffic is a source of revenue for a lot of small towns across South Carolina. It's just brand new for McBee right now, and it's part of the burden on the system. That's the bottom line. I mean,
What's the solution?
nothing's wrong with it, it's just we got to address the burden on the system.
They need to pay their fair share.
I've gotten a speeding ticket just
Make them pay their share of those too, that they
at least the eastern half over my lifetime.
His citizens.
I've contributed to a lot of town ordinances for violation of a town.
Tree
ordinance.
flood.
So guess what, every ticket that they write is funding their department.
When I was younger. I'm real slow.
So are y'all okay with the 2 slots?
I mean, I really believe that they're hurting over there. I really believe that genuinely, and I think they need the help. That's what I feel.
And just to remind you, I had reminded you, at the last meeting, about 3 or 4 years ago, they took one of their slots to get them up, get their pay up some. So they made the decision, it was that important because they were losing people. It was that important to them. They took one of the slots that they had to get their pay up. So this kind of will be making them whole again and then actually giving Dee that assistant.
I mean, Spence is here. Radio traffic has grown exponentially.
Our volume of traffic has, it's probably bigger, and of course, adding Mac be on that channel as well, and increase the overall radio traffic as well. Now, they will, if we get real busy or shooting or something, they will,
Slow up.
inundate 24, they will stop long enough, to help us do what we got to do, vice versa. It is a lot more traffic.
I think the other thing is that was kind of mentioned to us, that one of the hurdles was checkpoints, if possible, need to be communicated with 911 ahead of time, if possible, to try to help them plan for it, if we can do that.
That was brought up, and we hadn't had a big one in quite some time, but we did have one wrap up a couple of weeks ago. We did call in advance and tell them, so they did have an extra. So we have done that. Mac Beach done some live checks as well. I don't know if they call it, but we have tried to call and give them a heads up of what people do on our end.
Sounds good.
How far ahead of advance you think they need?
I would say, we give them, when I call them the other week, I give them 2 weeks. I would say at least a week.
Yeah.
Time to adjust the schedule.
All right. What's next?
Okay, we spoke to the sheriff in regards to the technical support line items that they were asking, and he asked us to talk to Mr. Carnes, and he came up there and talked to us. All three of the items, SLED can provide that to them, but some of this is the time and the issue with, if you've got a case going on, it takes a little bit longer to get it from SLED, and that was one of the big things. Now, they haven't gotten back with me on the face recognition and the fingerprint, but the Celebrite that's the big one. That's the one with the cell phones. And it's actually an annual fee of like $36,900. Now, the first year, that has training, but years 2 and the future, it actually could be $4,000 to $7,000 less. But you're looking at roughly an annual amount around $30,000.
So, Spence is here if he wants to come talk
Yeah.
about it. I had some pretty in-depth conversation with Spence about those, and they've already funded themselves for everything except the Celebrite, and that's the cell phone dump
Yes,
technology.
yes.
To be able to dump cell phones. And so when we talked about that, I think we broke it down to where the bill that they sent me yesterday was $18,000 something just for the Celebrite thing. And kind of what I threw the bait their way and said, hey, is there any way y'all could help? If we could find the funding for half of it, could y'all help pay for the other half? And I'll let Spence talk about it, but I think they've got it worked out with the sheriff and Jennifer that they'll be able to pay for half of it if we could fund the other half. So we would be looking at $9,000 something this year. And he did ask it, in the years to come, if we could help cover the cost. And I was told, we can't do that, but that's what we talked about, just. so
That
everybody
initial
knows.
$30,000, that's buying the equipment up front. Then next year it goes down. The most expensive part of it is what they call the gray key. That's cell phones that we can break. It can break if we don't know the password. If we have a shooting and they say, I'm not giving you the password, we buy that reoccurring cost of next year. If we got 20 where you can break 20 phones with no password, it's like right at $9,000. And if we did 40, it's like $11,000 or something. But the first year, that initial $30-something thousand is buying the actual equipment that does it. And then the next year's is a reoccurring cost to break the phones. Now, if we have the password, it can download 1 million phones. There's no limit on what it can download. It just limits the amount that it can actually go in and break a phone without a password, which is, when we have a shooting, we don't really have a lot of luck in getting a password from somebody. Now, we have been subbing this out to, I've got Mr. Ford the numbers yesterday, and in the last year, Florence Sheriff's Office has downloaded 20 phones for us. Lancaster Sheriff's Office has downloaded 10, and SLED has gotten 6, and out of their SLED 6, we're still waiting for those, and that's been over a year. So a year of waiting for those to be returned with information. Now, if we got this on site, now we used to have this several years ago. And we were the only sheriff's office in the Fourth Circuit that had it. We actually did it for other agencies. But, like everything, you have every so many years, you gotta buy new equipment, it upgrades. So that's why we didn't renew it. So the first year you buying that $30-something thousand equipment, and next year it goes down, which now there is a 5% increase every year of the box that breaks the phone. So anyway, in the last year, we've done 36 telephones. So I would think if we had to do it, we'd probably need to shoot for the 40 to where it would break 40 phones.
Which was 11,000 and change.
Correct.
So we can come up with the half of the 30, whatever thousand it is, out of some funds that Jennifer was able to find, last night when she went up there to work on it. Maybe next year, something we can do to y'all to help us with that, the reoccurring. But once the equipment's bought and paid for, it's yours until 5-6 years down the road when they say, hey, you got to upgrade it again, and then we're back at however much it is to replace it.
Just a question. The funds that she found, where did she find them from? Did it come out of drug funds or whatever kind of funds?
Well, we had, anytime we seize guns or however long that takes, or we exchange, we get new
Right.
guns, we'll have a firearms dealer will come in and buy them.
Right.
We get that money from it, so in essence, that's where that money's from.
Right,
It was some money we had set aside to get some newer guns with these new sites that we're trying to go to. But we pretty much got all that covered with the road, so if we needed to use that money to get this sale bright, then we can look at maybe getting whatever few guns we got left to get that way.
So it's Deputy Smith, so if you left here today with us funding half of it, you would be satisfied?
Oh, yes, sir. I mean,
Okay.
anything to help get, because if we have something, the sooner we can get this information off the phone, the sooner it's gonna help us, and what we get will help the solicitor's office prosecute whatever it is that we're trying to get into prosecuting, whatever case. If we're having to rely on, and like our ITAC, we got an officer assigned to ITAC. That's all child pornography, all the stuff on the internet, that's her sole job now. That's Brittany Robinson. And of course, you know with telephones, and computers, that's what how they're looking at it. So she's the lady that's been reaching out to Lancaster County. They've been doing them for us. But at some point, these other agents are gonna say, hey, we gotta do ours, we can't do yours. So then we back to waiting for SLED, which, as I told you, it's been a while since we got information back from them. Because they doing it for the whole state as well, so. We would just like to be able to do it ourselves to get a quicker, because time is essence in certain investigations.
Well, Dr. Brand and I were just talking, and I'm not as technologically advanced, but I see people breaking cell phones all the time. Is that illegal to do, or is what?
We had to have a search warrant to do it.
I mean, but like, if you have a phone, you can break that phone, right? We just take it to somebody that's got technology, they can, break into the phone.
Definitely be done, that's no problem.
But is it illegal, I guess, is that?
I mean, that's something that solicitor's office would have to agree upon, because they would have to come in and testify as to how they knew how to break it and what kind of experience. I mean, anything
But
you
this
introduce.
device is.
It's just a normal phone. I mean, iPhones are the hardest to break,
Oh.
but it can be done, and that equipment will do it.
So this equipment basically allows you, once you have a search warrant, they won't give you the passcode, you can break
You
it.
can
Even if they
break it.
give you the passcode, you have to have a search
No,
warrant.
yeah, we still gotta have search warrant regardless. It's just if they refuse to give us the password,
Don't have to have.
then we're just stuck twiddling our thumbs until we can figure out a way to get it broke.
Good idea.
And this machine, it'll take it might take a couple of days to get it, because it runs number series in the background till it breaks it.
How many did you say Ms. Robinson had worked on just for her stuff?
10, and she came back to us in June, and she started doing ITAC full, I think it was October, and she's done 10. Now, she's carried several computers to SLED, because, this don't have anything to do with computers, this is just strictly telephones, but she carries the computers to Columbia, and then they do what they do there.
So I guess really what changes it, I was pretty hesitant about all of it, until me and Spence got to talking yesterday. But one thing that really stuck out to me was when you start talking about, vulnerable children and sexual predators. If this is being used for, if they go arrest, John Doe for communicating with an underage, child about sexual stuff, and they go lock them up, and they say, where's your cell phone? Knowing that that's probably a device they were using to make those communications, and they say, well, we ain't giving you the password. Knowing that it's gonna be difficult to get somebody else to do it, and to think that there's a child out there that's been communicating that could be in a vulnerable position, there's probably other people that's talking to them as well. I think it's cheap, insurance for that ability. I wouldn't want, and I will say this, I wouldn't want this to be used in, recklessly, or roughshod in violation of people's rights. I really would want to make sure that this is being used for.
Well, I mean, we can't use it to break our children's phone or nothing like that. It's gotta have a case number, you gotta have a criminal investigation to, and I mean, like I said, we've had this device before. When Wayne Jordan was here, he done all that for us. And, that particular machine outdated, and we just never replaced it because of the expense.
95 to 98% of this, what you're doing, can solve a case right off the bat.
It would definitely get you started in the right direction.
Is there a particular department within the sheriff department that will have this, or would it be throughout the department?
Well, investigations would be the primary, criminal investigations. Now, deputies do seize phones for certain cases or whatever, and then, they would turn it into evidence, and then, investigation would get a search warrant. But, You know, it's not just gonna be just some random person at the sheriff's office. This does provide the training that first year for them to come in, and then, and obviously whoever they trained, and if we get a new investigator, then that person obviously will be able to train that person to do it, but it's, you know, it's got to be a legitimate reason as to searching the phone.
I think it's worth the money, man.
So would $15,000 pay for half of it the first year? According to your numbers, Michelle?
Whatever that 30-something.
Yeah, he said 36.9.
Okay, so 18,000.
18,000.
So 18,000, would pay our half for the first year. And then the reoccurring after that would be 9,000 for 20 phones or 11,000 for 40 phones. So you might as well say 11,000 reoccurring after that.
Every year, we're gonna have to keep.
The 11.
There's a 5% increase every year built into Cellbrite. I got a picture of it on my phone while I left it laying in the chair, but anyway, 11,000 or something next year, and then the year after that'd be 5% more after that. Until you gotta buy a new machine, which, you know, I'm sure that's their biggest money maker is having to get a new machine. So when that time comes, we'll be back here, you know, it
So
might be
Do
$40,000
we know if
then.
the machine we're buying is the one that's been out for 3 years and they're gonna replace it in 2?
No, this is
Right.
this is
Good question.
whatever newest version they have right now.
It's worth the money, man.
It'd be like buying a computer with Windows 10 on it right now.
Some of these bad cases.
And I would imagine, Wayne would know more than me, but I would imagine it'd probably be at least a 5-year shelf life on this thing to work, I would think. And I'm sure they send updates, hardware updates and all.
A criminal's gonna make it hard for you guys to solve a case. They're not gonna share any information that's gonna make it easy. And any technology that you got will make it easier for you guys to crack that case.
Facial recognition thing that we paying for ourselves, it was $5,000 something. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely
money.
amazing.
And when will this be in
Yeah,
effect?
that's what I wanted to make
Sir?
sure.
When will it be
total.
in effect?
As far as the
Yeah,
Cellbrite, the
that's why
phone
I'm making
thing,
sure I want the
as
number.
soon as we get the money, we can, I mean, we've already communicated with the salesman and all. We basically told him we gotta wait till July 1 to figure out funding.
Okay.
So, I mean, they just waiting on us. We've already got the facial recognition started. We paid that out of some money we had on this year's budget.
Well, thank y'all for, I know you had 3 items that you were asking for. Y'all fully funded 2, and you're gonna halfway fund the other one. I appreciate y'all doing that. I'm good with us funding the half for that this year.
Okay.
And I think we need to plan on that being probably closer based on the numbers 19 to 20, somewhere in between is probably what's gonna be. And I'm good with that also.
Yeah, I'll get with Jennifer and get the exact amount of half. That's what I'll do.
Thank you for your service.
I do appreciate that. Y'all take care, and I'll sit back here.
And also going to the coroner's van, we talked to the sheriff, and he said either way, he would make sure that we had a van for transport, because he said he actually had a good one over there at the detention center now that we could get our hands on. So he said either way, either one of them, we would have a transport van. So I think that we got that solved.
Let's just transfer
Got-
that van to the sheriff's department.
Mhm, got that worked out.
We good with that?
All right.
That's an additional van, or one he's already got?
They already have. They're gonna transfer it to the coroner. I mean, the coroner's transferred to the sheriff's office.
Okay, that's.
And we spoke to the animal shelter director, and she did confirm that eliminating the housing of the cats, that the department could withstand to absorb that one salary.
Okay.
So if, she said if council would, promise me and stand by that we were doing away with the cats, then I could do away with that.
What did we come up, what they gonna do with the cats?
They working fine over there. They had, last number I had was 20 cats and 51 dogs. So that's a long way from where we were.
And really, the only other main item that I have on my notes is we got something coming up in December. The voter registration director, he's going to be retiring. So we're going to need to get someone in here.
We're looking at trying to free up funding for the replacement that's gonna be.
Yes.
Overlap.
Yep. And so we're looking at about $20,000 for that overlap, because we really need to get someone in here training with him.
Absolutely.
I don't think we have a lot of options there.
No,
We just appreciate you notifying us that we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's a,
When would you want them in?
Well, isn't that spot appointed By delegation?
We just have to pay for it.
Yeah, we just got-
We just get
Unfunded
the benefit.
mandate.
Yeah,
Right, one more.
yeah, they'll
It's just
put,
an unfunded mandate.
yeah, they put the person in there and we have to fund it.
They just tell us who we have to pay.
What delegation?
I'd have spoke out of turn on that too. To our
Talking about
delegation.
cabin position.
And just to give you just a rundown of, with the reassessment on my rollback, I rolled back, I had already talked to you about operations, the reserve, I had rolled back those meals, 2.12 meals, so now the reserve is at 22 meals, and then the rescue, I rolled it back 0.10, which is at 1 meals. Now, I didn't roll back capital equipment simply because it's growth, because it's not impacted. I looked at the difference, and we're not gonna be collecting that much more, and we actually could absorb that little bit in growth, and then also with the debt service, because I didn't roll the debt service back because you got to make sure that payment is, you got enough to satisfy that payment, and I looked at the difference, and there really wasn't that much to matter for the reassessment. So then I said, well, if I come to next year and I've collected more than what I'm thinking, then I could handle it that time. I would much rather do it after the fact than have to come back and say, y'all, I got to increase millage back.
So right now, what will our, if we move forward with this budget right here, what's our millage gonna change?
3.26, because I had to put back in the NETC, because I had it at 3.44, so if I take that back, the net difference is gonna be 3.26 less.
So it's reducing?
Yes, sir.
So the millage will go down 3.26 mils?
Yes, sir.
So,
Tax bill will go down.
so the millage will go down, but with the reassessment, some people will still see an increase on their tax bill, but not as much as they would if we kept the same millage.
Yep.
It would,
If we kept that same
Helping
millage.
offset, that is helping
Yeah.
offset anything that would be seen through the reassessment.
and we don't have.
Not entirely, but it's
Yeah,
a help.
if you kept that same millage, you would generate roughly about $800,000 more dollars. That's why you got to do that rollback.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
not
don't want to do
optional.
that.
Yeah, when the rollback's not optional, you're required by law to do
Yeah,
that.
you do not want to do that to the citizens.
Yeah, no, but I'm just glad that we were able, that we are potentially able to reduce millage to help offset the assessment increase.
And still push and get this budget in the condition it's in without.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman, one other item that we talked about during the council meeting, and the only reason I bring it up is because we're going to have to publish the notice of public hearing, is the tattoo ordinance permit fee. So, if somebody comes and asks for that ordinance, we're gonna need it in final form.
we
And
need
that,
a number,
we kind of need a number there.
Does staff have any recommendations? I have no idea where that would start. Are we talking $200 or $2,000?
I checked with some other counties. We had one that, I can't remember which county, it was like a $500 permit fee. Then we had some that were $50. And then of course, we don't have a business license, but if you did, the business license would be $50. I think there was one that was $200. But whatever y'all decide you wanna put on.
How will it compare to other fees that we have in the county and
The permits.
Well, that's what I've got, is the final thing to tell you. If you see in front of you, you've got building codes, and he's just changed up some wording on it, but the very front page, I put it on the top, this is for the planning commission fees. So this is what I need to get approved by you all. This was generated from the comprehensive plan.
Does these fees go right into his budget?
Yes.
How much are, the gentleman that spoke to us earlier, what is the permitting fee for his trail ride?
That was
$200.
200.
I mean, I think for the tattoo permit fee, I don't think I would start any less than about 300 or 400. Because there is going to be some work involved there, as far as, and a lot of that is governed by state law, as far as distances from certain, like churches, schools, whatnot. So there will be some work involved there. So, and again, that's one of those, you can always revisit it next year if codes turns out there's not that much.
Is it in here, Heath? Where is it at? Is it in this packet?
No, the tattoo's not in there.
We don't have it yet.
And so every
This-
county's got a different fee. If it's new construction,
Right.
they're gonna build,
Yeah, I mean,
building for the facility, or if it's already
yeah, I mean, this is,
existing building.
yeah, I mean, if they're gonna build a building, then they would have to pay the regular
Yeah.
permit fee for the building, and then there's a separate permit fee for the, just the
Their
tattoo.
permission to put a tattoo.
Correct.
So this is a one-time fee, not an annual fee?
Correct, it is a one-time fee, and it's
Okay.
good for, and I didn't, I looked at some other counties, it's good for 6 months, and I think there's discretion on the part of codes to give a 6-month extension. Because there's in other words, somebody comes in and says, okay, I want to get a permit fee,
Right.
or get a permit to do a tattoo business facility. There's a number of steps they have to go through with the county, and really mainly now, what was DHEC, Department of Health.
Okay.
That takes some time.
Okay.
So if they get the 6 months and they still hadn't got it done, they can give them an extension without them having to pay another fee.
Okay.
But yes, it is a one-time fee. It's not an annual, ongoing thing.
I mean, if it's a one-time fee, I don't have a problem.
But they have to ask for extension before the time run out.
Correct, correct. I mean, even $500, I don't think would be unreasonable. And
Consider the amount of money they gonna make.
Well, I mean,
Correct.
if it takes us staff work
Yep.
to get that done, I don't think we need to be trying to make money off of it, but we do
Sure.
need to cover the cost so it don't cost the rest of the taxpayers
Right.
for the process.
Yep.
Sounds like there's gonna be more than one trip for inspection purposes.
And that's what I was gonna say. I think you're gonna have some in-house work, figuring out distances, and then they're gonna have some field work going out.
So would $500 cover that?
Who does the inspections? Who are we talking about going out there?
The codes,
Derek,
yeah.
Maybe put that question again.
I mean, I don't mind asking him. I mean, we could ask him what he thinks and bring that back.
Obviously, we want
At the
to
next
err
meeting.
on the top side.
Yeah.
Hit him up now, see if we can finish this. We need to do that today.
It would help, because as I say, Susie's got to run because of the timing, she's got to run the notice.
Not low.
And if somebody asks for a copy of the ordinance, and I could see that happening with this, then they're gonna need to look in there and see, hey, this is what the permit fee's gonna cost.
Is it gonna change our budget in any way?
No.
So we can move forward on the budget without that? So if y'all wanna find out from Derek on that, and
Don't procrastinate, right, Mr. McClendon?
I agree with that.
You want to get him in here?
He'll answer the phone. We'll figure this out now.
Tim's calling.
while Tim's trying to get him on the phone, the planning commission fees, PD cog worked with Derek and them on these fees, so it's fees that's recommended by them. Yes.
And these are part of the budget ordinance. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's why, I need to try to go ahead and get that, to put it in with the budget
add
ordinance.
that on, y'all are approving that today if those are
That's y'all's
suitable.
recommendation.
Yes, sir.
But I think as far as if he can't get Mr. Eaton on the phone, it sounds like we're in agreement that $500 is a good place to start if he feels like that will cover those costs. If not, then we can readdress that.
Okay.
Yeah, just put that, you can just put that contingent upon Derek's approval on that. It's not gonna affect the budget.
That's all I've got.
Are we ready to vote on this? To send it to the council?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's in there. Right in there.
So I need a motion. I need a motion to approve the budget as it sits to send to full council. Is that correct, Mr. Riley?
Yes, sir.
I need a motion.
I make a motion.
It's got to be one of those gentlemen there.
Oh, one of those gentlemen, okay.
Before we motion, I want to say this here was a smooth transition. Our first meeting and this meeting, your finance is normally the worst meeting to have. This has went very smooth. Brother Chair, you did a wonderful job. So yes, I motion that the budget be approved as been stated and given through the finance committee. Brought
Motion by
forth
Mr.
the
McClendon,
I second.
second by Mr. Ford. Any discussion? I'd like to say one thing, though. I want to thank Ms. Burns because this didn't just happen this year. We've been working in this direction for the last 2 years to make it this smooth.
This just happened this year.
Well, it was hard work the last 2 years to get it to this
Yes,
point.
It was
So
good
it
this
was-
year.
I was thinking the
Just
same
2 years
thing.
ago, wouldn't have
That's
this,
right.
we couldn't have made it this quick if we hadn't put the things in place, and so thank you very much for that. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I wasn't gonna oppose it because you said I couldn't make the motion.
We need 10 more minutes, hang on. I'm kidding. We have a motion to adjourn.
I think we need to also give thanks to Michelle and her staff, because they really did an outstanding job.
She didn't do nothing.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. McClendon to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Oh, that